Good afternoon. This is Mark McNabb coming to you with another episode of Top Speed Garage. And as you can tell by the color of the seats, I'm in something very cool, very swanky. In fact, it's probably the coolest car I've gotten to drive in quite a while. It is the mighty Nissan GT R. And yes, it is just as fast as they say it is. So, what is it? Well, it's a 2015 model, and this is the premium. This is the base model, technically, of the GTR. Now, it does come with a couple options here that I've got. It's the $4,000 swanky interior package. It's, you know, it's the red leather and everything. It looks really good. It's really nice. I also have like a $250 floor mat option. That's it. I mean, this car is basically stock. So it's kind of a good all-around experience with what the 2015 is. Now, the car has been changed through the years since its introduction. However, not really a whole lot has changed per se totally. Now, for 2015, Nissan did play with the suspension. The anti-roll bar is just a little bit in order to make it less stiff, which is kind of ironic. You would think, well, you know, stiffen it up, make it a better cornerer, but actually it was too stiff before, and it would just follow the pavement, the grooves in the pavement, and just track really terribly, or so I hear. The 15, however, they softened it up just ever so slightly in order to make it a better driving car. Now, that hasn't really hurt its limit performance or anything like that. It still has a little bit of understeer at the maximum limit, but otherwise, this thing rides on rails. Now, of course, you know all the stats, right? It's a GTR. It's a 3.8 liter V6 making 545 horsepower and 463 pound-feet of torque. Of course, there's twin turbos there, and those are spooling quite nicely. They spool pretty quickly. There's a little bit of lag. You need to make sure that you're in the power band before you gun the gas, because, you know, otherwise you're just going to sit there. Of course, I've got this great 6-speed dual-clutch transmission, which is kind of the life of the car, I have to say. I mean, the car kind of centers around the transmission. The engine's great, but it's really the tranny that does the work. And of course, I've got that all-wheel drive, which works most of the time to keep the power to the ground and not flying away in puffy white smoke. So we'll talk about the outside first. Of course, it's a good-looking car. There's a lot of people that don't like it. I kind of think it's unique in its own right, and it looks good for it. So, I mean, you know, take it or leave it. Looks are subjective, and you're going to make your own opinion about that. You don't need to hear it from me. The interior, like I said, it's got this nice $4,000 leather package and everything like that. Now, it looks good. I've got a lot of you either love it or hate it comments on the leather, which, yeah, it's very true. Now, for me, the seats, I don't know. These seats just don't do it for me. I've got it adjusted to where I feel almost too high in the car, but if I pull my seat down lower, then all of a sudden my lumbar isn't in the right place in my back, and it kills me. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know, I can't adjust the lumbar. So, yeah, that's a complaint. I wouldn't want to track this car for a good 8-hour drive. It just wouldn't be fun. Also, the interior, as you can hear, now that I'm on different pavement, is really loud. Now, for 15, they did add this nice Bose noise cancellation sound system, which is supposed to make it quieter in here. No amount of technology is going to stop this cabin from being noisy, apart from more sound deadening. So, I mean, you're not really going to get that that change in the cabin. These fat tires are just, they're very grippy and they're very noisy, and that's just a trade-off you're going to have. You're just going to have to put up with that. All right, so let's talk about the drivetrain for a second. Well, of course, it's that 3.8 liter V6, and it goes really quickly. I'm in launch mode right now. Check it out. I mean, there's 75. It's that quick. It's ridiculously quick. I'm jaded. I mean, there's no other words to describe it besides I'm jaded. 3 seconds to 60. I mean, I think I left my brain behind me. It seeped out of my ear. This car is so quick. It's so quick. And I mean, I've driven a lot of nice cars in my day, but this is it. This is the quickest car out there. So anyway, you've got this ridiculous V6 up front, and it's connected to this very herky-jerky transmission. It's 6-speed dual clutch, and it's very, very raw. You don't get a lot of forgiveness with this transmission. In fact, driving this car slowly is kind of an exercise in patience and understanding that the transmission is doing what it's supposed to do, and that clunking noise isn't bad. Yeah, it clunks. It sounds like a couple bags of gears just kind of grinding together, but that's the way it's supposed to work, and it's kind of cool. You know, a lot of people complain, oh, the GTR just doesn't have that soul that you know, the Ferrari or the Lamborghini or this or that or the other has. I don't know. I beg to differ. I think that the GTR really does have a lot of soul. In fact, you know, I mean, it's got a lot of soul even against the Corvette Stingray. I think it's its own car in its own right. It's a limit handler, and it's a point and click. I mean, you don't have to work at it. I mean, I just held the brake and mashed the gas, and now I'm at 60 in 3 seconds. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to launch the car. I don't have to work a clutch or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, sure, your grandma could launch the car as much as you could, but so what? I think that just makes the car prove itself how awesome it is. So now for price, right? How much does all this fun cost? Well, it's a pretty penny. If you're going to get a base GTR, you're looking at about $101,000. Now, I've got, like I said, this nice updated interior with $4,000 and like the $250 floor mat, so I'm looking at right at $107,600. That's not terrible compared to what else you're going to buy that will get you to 60 in 3 seconds, quarter mile in 11 seconds, and 199 or 192 mile per hour top speed. So, I mean, you're not really, I mean, the value is there. It really is, don't get me wrong. However, yeah, sure, it's an expensive car. I mean, that's $100,000, but still, you're paying a lot of money, but it's all going to drivetrain. This interior, like I said, it's nice, but, you know, I've been in nicer. It's all drivetrain. That's where it's at. I love this infotainment system up here. I've got all of my gauges, so I can see all of my temperatures and everything like that. That's a really cool thing, and I can get really spoiled to that really quickly. I like knowing my temps. The gauge cluster up here is okay. That speedometer, how useless is that? You can't even read it. I wish they would make the digital speedometer just a little bit bigger. That way you could kind of get a sense of, you know, what you're at with a quick glance. Other than that, I love the column-mounted gear shifters here rather than steering wheel. Those are nice and they're good and long. The carbon fiber little accent trims here, they look pretty good. I think they're fake, but they still look okay. And you know, otherwise, it's a great car to have fun in. It's not the GT Cruiser, it's not the muscle car, but it's a surgeon's scalpel. Is what the GTR is, and I'm okay with that. I like it. So, for topspeed.com, this is Mark McNabb. Guys, happy motoring. Thanks.